Hello, welcome to Living Arts. I'm your host, Jackie Suarez. Thank you for tuning in. Tonight we're going to be speaking to John Ford of Ford Piano and Ford Management. We're going to be speaking about the Hudson Room, so we have a whole bunch of things on our plate, and I just want to welcome you to the show. Thank you for coming by Living Arts.
Thank you very much for having me, Jackie.
I've been looking forward to this because we're going to be talking about some of the best stuff that I like to talk about, which is food, music, and also pianos. So you are the third generation piano
Rebuilder.
I was going to say restorer.
Well, that's good too.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about Ford Piano and give us some background on that?
Okay. Well, Ford Piano is a company that specializes in rebuilding pianos.
Okay.
Mostly older ones, sometimes newer ones, but mostly old Grands, Steinway, Mason and Hamlin, Knabe, Chickering, Baldwin, that are maybe 50, 100 years old, that need work, and we do that work. And then they're good for another 50 or 100 years.
Okay.
So that's what we do. We have a factory.
So you're not building the piano from scratch?
We do that also.
Oh, okay.
Now, that's not as lucrative anymore with an influx of those type of pianos from Asia. Can't really compete too well on that. We still do a little bit, and we have our own brand, which we make, but it's very, very small production. And we used to do that in the 50s.
Okay.
In New York City. We had a little factory in the 50s. But
Right.
lately, we just do very small production. By far and away, the bulk of our business is rebuilding pianos that already exist.
Okay.
That would be it would be very expensive to buy them new. So it makes sense for the owners to rebuild the older ones.
So how would you go about getting an older one? It would be listed somewhere that someone has a piano for sale that needs to be restored.
Well, there's plenty of those, but some of them are not worth restoring, quite frankly.
Okay.
Most of our work is from people who already have pianos that need restoration. You know, musicians, people who play, have better name pianos, and they don't hold the tuning anymore, and they need to be rebuilt. That's what we do.
Okay.
So we basically have a factory in a retail space.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you also do you do tune-ups as well, or you tune pianos?
we do. I have about 5 or 6 outside tuners we send around, and they all have their own kind of geographical area that they cover. So we can tune pianos anywhere in the metropolitan area.
So your grandfather started the company, and he started out in the city. And I guess
Correct.
from some of the information I gleaned from your website, he was at the time he actually built some tools that were made specifically for.
Correct.
Yeah. So
Right.
you guys put a patent on that, or
Well,
you probably are still using them today?
I still use them today.
The same tools?
Yeah, the
or-
same tools, yes.
Are you kidding me?
No, so they're still good. You can't even find them anymore like that. Yes, we have things that he made in the teens. In 1917, he made a bunch of things and planes and different things, and we still use them. A lot of hand tools.
Wow.
We still use them, and very specialized tools. And my father was quite the tool inventor also. My father invented and marketed under the auspices of Ford Piano Supply many, many, many tools and devices that have become standards in the industry. Steinway factory would order a dozen of this, a dozen of that, and I'm sure this was in the 60s and 70s, 80s. I'm sure they're still making pianos with my father's tools.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So have you ever done anything else besides the piano?
Well, I played music. I played
Okay, so you can
piano
play the
once.
piano as well.
Play the piano, yep. I got paid for that a little bit here and there. But mostly I've been a piano rebuilder and a piano man all my life.
And so
pretty
what
much.
goes into restoring a piano?
It's a heck of a lot of work, Jackie. This is much better. This is much easier sitting here talking to folks. It's a lot of work. We basically take things
Everything out, you hull it out, or you just
Yeah. We take the things out that have been worn out, and we essentially put them in new. We're talking about strings, sometimes sounding boards, tuning pins, and the tuning pins go into a piece of laminated hardwood called the tuning pin block. Those go after half a century or 3/4 of a century. Put a new one in, and then there's the whole action with the keys and the hammers and the working mechanism. Some of those parts get to be changed, and then we put a new finish on them too. So essentially, they look like new when we're done.
Okay, so then let's say it was a Steinway or something, you would somehow like shellac it or laminate it all over, around it so that you can still see who
You
made
mean
the
the
piano.
name on the front?
Yeah.
We put a new one on.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yes, we put a new one
So
on.
everything, so it just looks brand new when
It
you're
looks
finished with
absolutely brand new.
it. How long does that take?
3 to 6 months.
Okay.
But we do other pianos besides Steinway. Steinway is not the only one that we rebuild. We do a whole variety of pianos. Sometimes lately, some of the lesser pianos are getting to be almost not worth rebuilding because
They're not made as well.
well, no, it's not that at all. They're made quite well. As a matter of fact, in the before the Second War and up until the 80s, really, the United States was the premier piano manufacturing country in the world. We made the best pianos in the world, and those are the pianos that we are rebuilding now. And we had at one time about 200 piano factories in the United States.
Wow.
And the piano industry was the largest in the country at the turn of the century, the other century, from 1899 to 1900, that turn of the century. The piano industry was the largest industry in the country during those times. In those days, we had to use the iPad by candlelight. It was a long time ago. But, I mean, there was no cars. There were no...
It was a major form of entertainment, like a TV.
Yeah. What we did, we would, after dinner, we would sit around the parlor and converse and play music. An interesting concept.
So did we export those pianos to Europe, or were they making their own over there?
They were making their own over
Okay.
there. These pianos, the 200 piano factories in the United States at that time, it was all for domestic consumption for the most part, because that's what people did was play piano. And so the piano industry has steadily declined. This piano manufacturing industry, new pianos, has steadily declined since then. Since around 1903, 04, the advent of automobiles, and then electricity, and all of the things that ensued from there, piano industry has declined. There was a little bit of a bump in the 20s with the player piano industry, just as about 30 years ago there was a bump in manufacturing in this country with the electronic player mechanisms that have been installed in pianos. But essentially now there are, for all practical purposes, 2 or 3 or maybe 4 factories left.
Okay.
Steinway, which is still in Queens. By the way, my grandfather worked for Steinway when they were on the present site of the Waldorf Astoria.
Oh.
That was a piano factory. Where the Waldorf Astoria sits now was a piano factory. Before that, they were downtown on 14th Street, and they decided to get away from the hustle and bustle of downtown and go to the country near 52nd Street. And it's amazing how fast things progress in life. But anyhow, so the piano industry now, there's Steinway and there's Mason and Hamlin. They are in Boston. And there's a couple of other ones out in the Midwest, pioneers who are really just, I don't know how they're doing it, but they're doing it. There's one called Charles Walter. He's out in the Midwest somewhere. And there may be another 1 or 2 small ones, but there's nothing close to the 200 that there were at the turn of the century. So
it's so specialized that I would think that someone would, like, I guess with like a locksmith or something, you'd have to kind of be mentored by someone to really know how to make a piano or work for that specific, unless there's like a university for it.
No, not at Steinway still today. The way it is those are factory jobs, but they're kind of upper echelon factory jobs. They're sort of a skilled, very high skilled, artistic almost. And what would happen is a fellow has those jobs, typically immigrants still. They would work at the job, make the pianos, and then as they're starting to get old, they would bring in a son, a nephew, somebody, and who would work by their side for a decade or so until they got the feel of it. And then there'd be a gradual changing of the guard.
Oh, okay.
And so that's how these things get passed down like that. Just like my father taught me how to do this, and his father taught him. And I might add, my sons work for me now too. Together, I have a couple of 30-something-year-old sons who are in the business. So that's how it works with pianos, usually.
So at least Ford Piano will carry on, right?
Let's hope so. Yes.
So now you were in Manhattan. So now you're in Peekskill. So tell me about that transition, about the space that you currently have.
Well, I have an old 5 and 10 building.
I mean 5 and dime?
5 and dime, right. That's big.
It's a huge space.
It's about 20,000 square feet altogether, approximately. And I needed more space. We were in Manhattan for a long time. I'm born and raised there, as you can tell by my accent, of course. But I'm from Manhattan, and I needed space. And I heard that Peekskill, there's some space up here, and they thought I was an artist. Isn't that funny? I
Yeah.
qualified as an artist. I guess I kind of am an artisan at least.
Okay.
And I got this space. I bought this space from the city of Peekskill.
How long ago was that?
I moved in there in '99 or 2000 and actually bought the property in 2003 from the Industrial Development Agency,
Okay.
the IDA in Peekskill. And part of the deal was on the, on the corner store. There was the corner store, but that's a whole other story.
Quarries.
But yes, for me to have that sort of space for the piano store in Manhattan would be cost prohibitive.
Yeah.
And we're a destination business. In other words, people seek us out. I don't need, people usually don't walk down the street and look at our shop and say, oh, I knew I needed a piano today, and
I need
walk
to get
in.
my stuff restored. I have it in my pocket here.
So we are a place where people come and find us.
Yeah, you
We
have a
actually have
reputation.
pianos in every state except Wyoming, Nebraska, and maybe a couple of those kind of less populated states out west, and in every continent except Antarctica and Australia.
Oh, wow.
We have a piano that we rebuilt. And actually right now, with the internet and all of that, and I have very reasonable but professional long-distance piano movers, we do pianos from all over the country. So it's amazing. If you live in East Coffee Cup, Arizona or something, and you need to get your piano rebuilt.
There's only a few places you could go.
Well,
so.
you're not going to go to Charlie who does brakes. Oh yes, he fixes pianos in the back. No, you're going to. If you have a prized Steinway grand, you're going to go to someone who kind of knows what they're doing a little bit. So we're able to, with the internet now, we're able to access that market and rebuild pianos all over the country.
Well, so your business must be fairly steady,
We're okay. We're
Because-
okay.
Yeah.
We're paying the bills, and we're making a living, and we're good. See, the thing about this kind of work is you have to really, really like the work because it's a lot of work, a lot. I have guys that are working with me since the 1960s.
Goodness.
Yeah, right now,
Ball and chain.
as we speak, I have them in there working. And couple guys from the 70s, and a couple new guys from the 90s.
Okay.
So it's that kind of thing. You find somebody who likes it, who
Right.
enjoys it, and then that's it.
It's not really work for them. It's like they
Yeah,
enjoy
it's fun.
they're okay.
It's fun. It doesn't even seem like work. It's fun because when we're all done, there's a concrete work of art right there that is going to please some artist and
Well-
please a whole lot of people.
That must be satisfying to do
A
that.
little bit, yeah. Yeah, it's fun for me. I like it. I always did.
So tell me about the other space. What did the city want you to do with that other space?
Well, this is what happened. As an adjunct of buying the piano shop, I kind of also bought the corner building. And it was in a state of disrepair, to say the least, literally falling down. There was a scaffolding out front. The facade was in poor shape. It really looked like it went through a war. There were holes 4 feet across in the facade. The building was sagging all over the place. So the deal was that I could buy the place if I fixed it up on my own dime. So I did. I put a new facade on, which was a major feat. We had a whole scaffolding up there, and we did it. And we did it in the right time, according to the right time constraint. And then the IDA saw fit enough to sell me the building. So I ended up buying the building. And we put steel, reinforced concrete, all sorts of girders and amazing structural components into the piano. I kind of rebuilt the building like I would a piano. That building is not going anywhere. That's a strong building now. We put all sorts of stuff in there to make that building
Built to
stand
last.
up. And then, now what am I going to do with this building? There were artist studios upstairs. We remodeled every one, and we populated them with artists.
That's where,
Inexpensive.
Was-
Brown Street Studios.
Okay, right.
Okay. Now something to do with downstairs. Now I wanted a concert hall
Okay.
for myself for Ford Piano, and I went to the city with that idea as I'm buying the building, and they said to me, I said to them firstly, I said, Steinway has Steinway Hall, Bosendorfer has Bosendorfer Hall in Vienna. Why can't Ford Piano have Ford Piano Hall? And they said, you're not zoned for it. Sorry, but if you put a restaurant and a bar in there, you're zoned for it. So I said, okay, I'll do it. And so that's what I did. I basically designed what's now called the Hudson Room. I built the stage, laid out the bar, laid out the kitchen, and designed the whole room. I was going for like a cabaret, sort of an old school cabaret feel to it.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. So
It's a beautiful space.
it's a nice space. But what happened was, in 2008, I ran out of money when the economy kind of
Tanked.
sputtered a little bit. And so I had no money to build it out anymore. And I kind of floundered around a little bit, quite frankly, for a number of years. We were fine with the piano business. We were holding on, you know, and because in downtimes people rebuild pianos as opposed to buying new ones, people who really play. So we had work. We were okay. But not enough to do another business. I mean, to make a big investment in another business. So, basically, this gentleman called Louis Lanza came along and wanted to buy the building and put a restaurant in there. And I sold the building to Louis Lanza, who is a chef par excellence, world class. He has a couple of restaurants in Manhattan still today that he hasn't sold yet. One is called Citrus. One is called Josie's. Top shelf restaurants. They were the hottest restaurants in town. The man is a culinary artist. Everything in that restaurant is organic. He grows most of it. He has his own farm.
Right, he's out in Garrison, right? Is it
Garrison. He grows his own pigs and chickens and goats and maple
Oh my
syrup.
goodness, so he's really doing farm to table.
Oh yeah, big time. And I know how he accesses food. If it's not the absolute finest and most organic and cleanest and grass-fed, he's not buying it. So this was the perfect guy for me. And our relationship is quite symbiotic. We started out like this. I needed to show him the building. And I have a bunch of pianos in his building, essentially now.
You're using it as a storage space.
Correct. I knocked a hole in the basement wall, and I'm storing about 100 pianos in what is now to be his building. So he comes. I don't know him. First time I met him, he comes. He walks back and forth. He looks at the pianos, and he says, "You see these pianos? If I buy this building, you can keep these pianos here." And I said, "Oh, well, thank you very much. You see that piano up on the stage? If you buy this building, you can keep that piano up on stage."
It was the one that's there now, the red one.
Correct.
Oh,
So
okay.
we started out like this, and we've been like that ever since. The fellow, he likes to call me his brother from another mother, and I say from another father, too. It's funny, did you ever come across a person who you really just met them, maybe you know them for a year or so, and you feel like you've known them forever?
Yes.
Louis Lanza is one of those guys for me. He feels like almost he's my friend, my brother that I've had for years. So we get along really well.
So how long ago did he buy the restaurant?
About a year.
Okay, so
It wasn't a restaurant when he bought it.
Right, so
He
it was just
bought
open
the building.
space.
He bought the building.
Okay.
And he kind of put the kitchen in.
Put the kitchen in and the booths and, or, you know, all the extras, the bar and stuff like that.
Right. It was all kind of
Okay.
laid out that way.
Okay.
And he put all the pieces in there.
Now, you know, music, and this is what I was very interested in finding out from you, because I know that's going to be a huge part, because you wanted it originally to be a concert hall. So now you're booking acts for them.
Correct.
And you formed a new company called Ford Management. So why
That's
don't you
right.
tell me a little bit about that?
Well, my whole life has been concerned with musicians. So all our customers for Ford Piano, they play, they're musicians on some level. I'm actually a musician, but don't hold that against me. But I play a little bit. And all my friends, everybody I know practically is a musician.
Has an instrument of some kind, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I have all these contacts. So after Louis opened up, the stage, by the way, the entire place is built around the stage. As you know, you go in there and the stage just hits you in the face. I mean, there it is. And so you kind of have to do something with it. So Louis is a restaurant guy par excellence. He doesn't really know all that much about music. So he asked me to book some acts in there. So that's what I'm doing. We
Okay.
had some great ones so far. That Habana sax that you saw.
Yes, excellent. You had my stepfather on, Tony
he,
Leon.
He was on
great.
too. Yes, we a little bit more unusual.
I heard that he was really, place was packed when he was there.
Oh yeah, he's great. I loved him. He was great. And we're having a couple of great ones coming up. Really, really good acts. You have to kind of.
So why don't you name a couple? Because, you know, I guess this will be airing in a week or two or some, you know, time after that. So we'll be looking at the beginning of December, late November.
Right.
So who do you have on tap?
Okay, there is a great act. Her name is Joni Blondell. Okay, she's a Broadway star essentially. She was the stand-in for the lead in 42nd Street 7 or 8 years ago before she had the 3 kids. And the lead went down and she did about 80 shows as the lead in 42nd Street on Broadway. She sings, she acts, she dances, she's a talent. And
so that's going to be really quite a nice
real
cabaret
deal.
act.
No, she's doing country rock.
Oh, okay.
So it's called the Joni Blondell Band. And she's going to be there in late November, as well in early December rather. And she's just the real deal. She's got the soul and the heart of a real good performer. She's just great. She can sing and dance, and she's just fantastic. So that's happening. We have other things happening. We have another salsa band coming in, and they're called La Avalancha. And we also have
what's the name again?
La Avalancha. It's a salsa band. It's dancing. This is all kind of dance bands we're having. I think what's happening is the Hudson Room is going to be the place to come and dance in Peekskill. It's big. It's roomy. It's a big stage, as you know. I built the stage for 18 pieces.
Oh, nice.
So we can fit a whole heap of musicians on there, and there's a lot of room to dance, and it's going to be the place to dance in Peekskill on a Friday and Saturday night. We also have, I think he was also on your show here, a fellow called Q Boy.
Yes.
You remember him?
Yes,
Okay.
I do remember him.
He's coming.
And the Eclectic Band.
Yeah.
Eclectic
Company.
Soul Band or something.
Yep. And we have a bunch of other interesting acts, and pretty much it's kind of get off your seat and shake a leg and shake it up and move around a little bit and get on the dance floor and have a good time.
So are you guys only open on Friday and Saturday?
No, we're open for business, for dinner, Monday through Friday and Saturday. In other words, we're closed on Sunday. The only day we close is Sunday to give everybody a rest.
Okay.
A lot of the staff comes from Manhattan, so rather than burn them out,
Right.
give them a day to stay home.
Or give them a studio to sleep in.
Something like that. Something like that. So we're
Stay
open
in-
every day except Sunday. We open at 5 o'clock for dinner, and we'll stay. The kitchen's open till 11 on the weekends.
So for people to come and find out the information about it, they'd go to www.hudsonroom.com.
Correct.
And then you'd have an events page. It's actually a
Correct.
really well done website. And
That's my
has
son,
some-
Mike Ford, who does that.
Oh, really?
Yep.
So some great pictures of the food and just tons of information.
Yep.
Now, when we had a conversation on the phone, and you'd mentioned to me that you had this vision or this dream of wanting Peekskill to be the destination for the Hudson Valley or the residents of the Hudson Valley to come and hear music. And this happened quite a long time ago.
Well,
So why don't you tell me a little bit more about that? And
Sure.
kind
It's
of-
going to happen.
yeah, I thought it was really, really interesting and very visionary, quite frankly.
Well, it's just the reality of it. It's going to happen. In
So-
'99, when I first came to town into this place, it wasn't like it is now, where there was clubs everywhere. No, it was kind of a little bit not like that.
Seedy.
Somewhat, and pretty much with the help of 3 other people, what we did was we put music on the street on every Saturday night between Memorial Day and Labor Day. We closed Division Street and we had music on the street.
Really?
Yep. And we organized the stage, the lights, the crew, the band, the advertising, the tables, the chairs, the tablecloths, and the promotion, and did everything. And we put music on the street. I kind of was helping with that. That got people to come to town when they wouldn't normally come to town. Because Peekskill had a bad reputation in those days. Not anymore. Okay, so I think as a direct result of that, what happened is different places opened up. You have the 12 Grapes, you have Rubens, of course the
Quiet Man.
Division Street Grill has been
Bean
there all
Runner.
the while. All of that. Quiet Man, the Bean Runner, and then you have the Birdsall House and Gleason's, and now you have the Hudson Room.
Right.
So this is what's going to
In a
happen.
small area,
and
too,
the
that
Paramount
works.
too. The Paramount is really trying hard right now. So what is going to happen? By the way, there's other music places in the works for the downtown.
Oh, okay.
There
Boy,
are. There are. There are.
Is there such a thing as too much competition?
No, 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 no. A rising tide raises all ships, and this is what's going to
Well said.
happen. This is what's going to happen. Ma and Pa suburbia are going to say to each other on a Friday or a Saturday night, "Gee, honey, what do you want to do tonight?" "Well, let's go to Peekskill. There's always something happening there," and that is almost right there. So Peekskill will become the musical and artistic capital of the Hudson Valley in a short period of time.
I totally agree. And unfortunately, we've run out of time. So I'd like you to go ahead and let our audience know how they can contact you if they want to, introduce a band to you for either the Hudson Room or the Paramount, because you're going to be doing some booking for them as well. So how can you be reached for either Ford Piano and Ford Management?
Well, if you're going to contact me for musical bookings, the best way would be to email me at john@ford-management.com and try to include a link to a video of your musical group, and that would be the best way to contact me.
Okay, and Ford Piano's self-explanatory,
Well, fordpiano.com, yes.
If you're lucky enough to want to restore a piano that you have, this is the man to do it with.
Well, yes, we can do that for sure.
I want to thank you for coming on. I've really had a great time hearing about this and the whole development of the Hudson Room. I'm looking forward to spending more time there.
It's been fun, Jackie. Thank you very much.
Thanks. So, Living Arts audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoy this, and definitely share it with some friends. Our YouTube channel is always there. You can go ahead and share the link. Like us on Facebook, and we will see you again soon. Peace.
Des amours mortels devant le feu qui se tait. Ce soir, c'est une chanson d'automne dans la maison qui frissonne, et je pense aux jours lointains. Que reste-t-il de nos amours? Que reste-t-il de ces beaux jours? Une photo, vieille photo de ma jeunesse. Que reste-t-il des filles tours? Un mois d'avril de rendez-vous, un souvenir qui me poursuit sans cesse. Bonheur fané, cheveux au vent, baisers volés, rêves mouvants. Que reste-t-il de tout cela?